tidbits! Hello, you lovelies, and welcome to This Week in Comics. This Week in Comics is a bit of a slower news week because we're still going over all of the stuff that came out of D23 over the weekend. Haven't gotten a chance to talk about Marvel Animation yet, so I'm going to do that right here, all the news that came out of that panel, as well as Deadpool being a billion-dollar baby. That's right, Deadpool passed the historic billion-dollar mark, and only 55 films in the history of movie making have ever done so. Going to talk about all the records it's broken, as well as some more behind-the-scenes picks, diving into all of that, as well as always, reviewing the comics from last week. I read about 50 comics a week, so you don't have to, and I break down the 9 I think you'd enjoy, my 9 favorites, as well as the ones that I think are the most approachable to new readers, and then I preview the comics coming out this week, the 14th of August, all the new books. So, previewing books, reviewing books, giving you the news. Subscribe if you like stuff like that. This is This Week in Comics.
Let's do the list. Spider-Man.
Guilty.
The Incredible Hulk.
Afraid so.
Oh man, this is so cool. The X-Men.
Now that you mention it.
Alright, first up, that giant Marvel Animation panel. We got X-Men 97 news, we got some What If news, we got lots of Spider-Man news. Let's dive in. X-Men 97 Season 2 has been confirmed for next year, but now we know it is going to be the Grant Morrison Frank Quitely suits. Now, the Grant Morrison Frank Quitely suits are quite iconic, and they come in the era of the 2000s, where the Ultimate X-Men were really coming to play, where the X-Men movies are really popular, and so they're the comic book version of the black leather that took over in the 2000s. This, to me, says this is going to go from X-Men 97 to X-Men 2000s. I think it's going to be an early 2000s nostalgia, which I'm really excited about, because I'm definitely a 90s kid, but I was a teen in the 2000s. I'm really excited to see what these teenagers in the X-Men Academy are doing in the 2000s, what references it's going to be, what nostalgia we're going to have for a decade that somehow started 24 years ago. Really excited for that element of it. And we got Apocalypse footage in there. We got Danger / Warlock. Some people were reporting that it was Warlock, some that it was Danger. I assume it's Danger because we've had rumors of Marvel using Danger for quite some time. Danger was rumored to be who Emma Corrin was playing in Deadpool. I think it's Danger, and that also ties more into the Frank Quitely art that the suits are going after, the Grant Morrison storyline. So I'm pretty sure it's Danger, but also Polaris is in there. We get a lot of new characters coming to play, so I'm really excited for X-Men 97. I already was, but these little details coming to play, I am more stoked than ever. Then we got What If Season 3. Now, the news out of this is that this will be the final season of What If. I kind of understand that. The consolidation, trying to have less properties and do a quality over quantity idea. I liked What If Season 2 so much more than What If Season 1, but it still doesn't crack like my top half of Marvel overall. And to be honest, I don't feel like they've really done the extent that they could do with imagination as far as the storylines. Although What If, especially Season 1, felt like kind of a, okay, let's go a little bit over here. They can really make some swings. I think they started that with Season 2, but it still doesn't feel like the pure raw imagination of the comic book, so I kind of understand this decision. So Season 3 will be its last, and we did get confirmation that it's going to feature Moon Knight, Shang-Chi, Monica Rambeau, Sam Wilson, Red Guardian. We're going to get Power Ranger mechs, we're going to get Gamma Monsters, we're going to get White Vision. So a lot of new characters we haven't seen in animation yet coming back to play. Very curious how this season shakes out and how much it affects the events of things going forward. If this is their big conclusion, I'm really curious what that looks like. Are you excited for What If Season 3? Let me know in the comments below. What I'm really excited for is this Spider-Man show. Now, this show I've been hopeful for a very long time, and I will admit, though, some news came out of this that has me less excited than I've been to date. So, it's called Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. It used to be called Spider-Man Freshman Year, and the art is pure Ditko. I love that element. I haven't seen any of the animation, but the vibrant colors here, the simplistic line work, but the very clean line work, this to me feels like it's straight out of the 60s, straight out of Ditko. That is why I had been excited. But now that it's Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, keyword being neighborhood, I'm very confused what the tone of this show is going to be, because word came out that Spider-Man's origin is now him getting bit while a portal opens and Doctor Strange is fighting Venom. That sounds about not as neighborhood as possible. I know there's been a lot of criticism about Sony not using Spider-Man correctly, but Marvel has also, since acquiring him, took him out of New York, sent him to Europe in his second movie, sent him to space in his third, went giant multiversal with his own solo movie as his 6th appearance. I would love Spider-Man to be a neighborhood character. He's the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. He's apparently, your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. I want to see that. I have no problem with moments where, like, for example, and I've used this example online before, Loki, when he's in the world of Spider-Man, this is what happens. It's like these guys eating hot dogs on a rooftop. That is the world of Spider-Man and the fish out of water elements of your Doctor Strange, your Loki, these out of this world supernatural characters. But if everything's an Avengers level event, nothing is. If everything's this giant multiversal team up cameo fest, it just doesn't feel like Spider-Man. And Spider-Man absolutely has appearances and has cameos and people enter his world, but Spider-Man also has long runs of comics that are Spider-Man comics. And I really want to see Spider-Man in a Marvel adaptation. And I'm coming off the high of Spectacular Spider-Man. I watched it for the first time, those 2 perfect seasons. I was really excited for a Spider-Man animated series. I loved that in this we get to see like crazy deep cut characters like the web slingers, like the faster we get Dusk here and Hornet, and I assume that means we'll get other characters like Ricochet. Like, that's so exciting. The web slingers is such a specific thing to incorporate. But then all of this big, larger-than-life elements, I do worry we won't get the school Spider-Man, or it won't feel as contained. I don't know. I just want a neighborhood. I kind of want him to stay in his little pocket of the world, you know? And I feel like we've earned that. So, I don't know. I'm a little torn on this this whole situation. What I'm not torn about, however, is Colman Domingo as Norman Osborn. I think that is absolutely perfect. If you haven't seen Zola, he is incredible. He's got this duality to him. He is so violent and merciless, and as the tonality of his voice, this aggression, this power, to be honest. Like, the power of his voice is why I'm so excited for Norman Osborn. That casting has me kind of balancing the scales of, I'm excited by the animation style, I'm excited about the Ditko influence, I'm not excited about the origin, I'm not excited about what seems to be another giant everyone's in this thing. But Colman Domingo does help me get back to excited. We also got confirmation that it's going to be a bit of a what-if scenario where Harry Osborn is the Tony Stark of this world. There's even an image that mirrors the Aunt May moment in Spider-Man, where in Civil War, Tony Stark talks to Aunt May, and that kind of shapes the reality. Now this image is Harry Osborn shaping the reality. So it feels like an episode of What If, which I think would kind of work, but as a whole show, it's kind of like my thing of Superior Spider-Man. It went on so long, it didn't feel like Spider-Man after a time. And I know you got to change things, and I know the character has to evolve, but there's still core elements to the character. So I'm excited to see the Future Foundation suit, which was confirmed. We saw it on Feige's hat, and people lost their minds. We've got a lot of things coming with this show. I'm less excited, but still excited. I'm still very much excited for a Spider-Man animated series. Certain elements worry me, but I'm going to give it a chance. I'm going to go in open-minded and try. But that's all the stuff that came out of the D23 panel for Spider-Man. We also got a little bit of news about Eyes of Wakanda. Now, I was lucky enough to see footage way back in the day at What If Season 2's premiere, and it looks beautiful. Now it's confirmed to be 4 episodes, which surprised me. I thought it was like a long, full 8 to 10 episode series, but what length of series is nowadays is so flexible. I mean, 4 episodes is like a 2-hour movie, but if it's episodic, I hope those episodes kind of grow and feel like they're their own arc. There's a reason for it to be 4 episodes instead of a 2-hour movie. It apparently has a character named Noni invading Wakanda. I'm really curious what all this looks like, because in addition to the 4-episode Eyes of Wakanda series, which we still don't know all that much about, except Mark Bernardin working on it, I love that guy's writing, we also got confirmation that we are getting a Marvel Zombie show. It is also going to be 4 episodes, and it's going to be rated R, or TVMA. It's got Wenwu in it, it's got Shang-Chi in it, it's got zombies, and it's going to be dark. So if you like the Marvel Zombie stuff, this seems like a big win. So in conclusion, out of the Marvel animation panel at D23, we got 4 episodes of Eyes of Wakanda confirmation, we got 4 episodes of TVMA, Marvel Zombies confirmation, we got X-Men 97 Season 2, having those Grant Morrison, Frank Quitely suits, and a couple characters confirmed, and we got lots of new information about your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Let me know in the comments below what you're most excited about from that giant animated panel's bevy of announcements, and if you were there, let me know what that footage was like for you, because I haven't seen any of it. I'm very excited for this new array of Marvel animation. Let's talk about Deadpool. Deadpool is a $1 billion baby, and there's only 55 of those, including Deadpool. That makes me so happy. This movie getting what it deserves, in my opinion. I love that this is a celebration of not just Marvel movies, but comic book movies and the Fox universe. I love that it's a celebration of Deadpool and how meta and aware it is. I love that it's a commentary on this whole world I love, like the character is, and that everyone's kind of receptive to it. It is a $30 million movie as of yesterday. It is about half and half domestic versus worldwide. It's almost cleared $500 million domestic. It's like 49% domestic. It's a very American beloved film, but it's killing it overseas too. This makes me so happy. An R-rated movie that is actually the comic character, that is actually this tone, that is a comic book movie for adults making $1 billion means there is hope for this genre to grow into being an adult film, as not that kind of adult film, well, parts of Deadpool, but an adult genre as well as an all ages genre. There are characters that deserve to be all ages, there are characters that deserve to be rated R, and speaking of which, these are the records it has broken so far. Talking about that R rating, it is the highest grossing R-rated film domestically. It took 3 to pin down Jesus, took 3 movies to take him out in the box office. We got the first R-rated film to earn more than $200 million opening weekend. The first ever. It made more than $200 million in an opening weekend, and you could only buy a ticket if you were 17 and older. There is absolutely a market for R-rated comic book films. It is the biggest July opening ever in the history of movies. The biggest July opening ever is absolutely insane. Like, July is such a blockbuster tentpole month, and this opened bigger than every G-rated kids movie that opened in July. Every PG-13 tentpole blockbuster that opened in July. It is the biggest July opening ever. That is insane. It is the 4th biggest opening weekend for a superhero film, only behind Avengers Infinity War, Endgame, and Spider-Man No Way Home. It is the 4th of every superhero film, 4th biggest opening ever. That is absolutely insane. It is the 6th biggest opening for any film domestically. Any American film, any movie that's opened in America, it is the 6th biggest opening, and it is the biggest opening for its stars and director. So Sean Levy's biggest, Ryan Reynolds' biggest, Hugh Jackman's biggest, which makes it the biggest opening for X-Men or any other Deadpool. I am so happy for this movie and the records it's broken so far. It's in that, like, top 30 or so movies, I think, at this point. I need to check on that next week. I'm going to keep you guys posted. When it ends its run, we'll do a full rundown on the insane amount of box office records it's broken. But for now, $1 billion feel good. I'm so happy for my boy. His first 2 movies got damn close in the 900 millions, or high 8 in the 900 millions. It is here, $1 billion Deadpool. I'm so stoked. Let's talk about the comics that inspired all of this art, whether it's animation or live action. Let's talk about the books themselves. These were my favorite comics from last week, the week of August 7th. First up for my favorite comics from last week, we've got Absolute Power #2, loving this giant event from DC Comics. I actually buy the weight of it. I actually believe Amanda Waller having this much power. I actually believe in these depowered heroes. I actually feel the pressure and the strife of this giant event, and that is so hard to do. It's so hard to make a human character feel like they could actually take out all of these gods, and it is happening over in this event. This is one of my favorite DC events so far ever. Issue 2 is great. Most of the tie-ins are great. Super impressed. Speaking of absolute power, my next book is Batman number 151. This is from Chip Zdarsky, and it's some of my favorite Chip Zdarsky stuff on Batman. I love Chip Zdarsky. He's one of my favorite Daredevil writers, one of my favorite indie writers, Public Domain we'll talk about later, one of my favorite Spider-Man writers. I love this guy's work, but I've only liked about half of his Batman, to be honest. We just, I think, see the character differently, and I like what Failsafe is, don't love all the delivery, but here, it feels like the heart of Batman. It's the Bat and the Cat. It's going at this impossible task. It's a cat burglary mission where he knows he has to recruit Catwoman. It's Batman being a badass and a tactician. This feels like Batman really dug this issue, really like how it ties into absolute power, really like the stakes and the world building and the growth of their characters. Perfect issue, really solid. I can only make 9 in that grid, so an honorable mention to the Deviant number 7, not a bad issue, an A- for the week, but I can only pick 9, so it would be the honorary number 10. Very good stuff, loving the Deviant as an overall run, really exceptional. Next up is Doctor Strange number 18, a book that doesn't often make the top 9 anymore. This Doctor Strange issue is exceptional. I love him dealing with Doom being the Sorcerer Supreme and his guilt about having to do that and that being the only way. I love him overcoming that and being a hero and fighting back. I love his relationship with Clea here. I love everything about this. This feels like Doctor Strange. This feels like a great fallout from Blood Hunt, which makes Blood Hunt feel more important. A lot of big stuff is coming with Doom. This issue is key to that, and I really dug it. I mentioned it earlier, but Public Domain number 7 is my book of the week. This book is so good. This is Chip Zdarsky writing and illustrating a book that is about the industry of comic books, of the adaptation of comic books, of this giant movie and TV world of comic books, and kind of being a commentary on that old school era. It's got 2 older comic creators feuding over this character that they own, one in comics and one in adaptation, and them hating each other and having to navigate that world of publishing, and one of them having children that he just wants to make comics with, one of them being greedy and wanting the money of the adaptations and dealing with this new world of how comics are written, the other one actively writing the comic but dealing with culture changing and the shift and all that. This is just such an interesting book, an interesting look into the world of comics themselves, and it's so hilarious, well written. You love all the characters. I adore Public Domain. Next up, we've got Red Before Black number 1 from Boom Studios. Great jumping on point because it's brand new title. This book I love because it's this really tense noir that plays with your expectations of what's going on in this type of setting, but makes the characters kind of take a left when you expect them to take a right. Already in one issue, we just met them, but you have this inclination towards them, and I can't tell if it's because of the way they speak, the way they're illustrated, the way you expect a story like this to go, but every so often in one issue, it just goes like this, and you're like, man, this is captivating. I'm really impressed with the way violence is handled. I'm really impressed with the way crime and world building is already with one issue, and it's set in New Orleans. I really like the pulpiness here. It's really fascinating. Dig this book. Speaking of red and black, we've got Spider-Man, Black Suit, and Blood. This has been a few years now where they're doing these black and white comics with splashes of color. This is Spider-Man's Black Suit, and this is such a good Spider-Man issue. It's an anthology book. You don't have to read anything else. This could be your first comic of all time, but I love this first story. There's one long story and then 2 or 3 smaller stories after the main story, but the main story is about a day-to-day crook and his experience with Spider-Man and what he did to help Spider-Man, or what Spider-Man did to help him throughout the years, and what a small-time crook and his exposure to knowledge and helping Spidey, but also how that affected his family. It's a really real story, and it's really about the humanity of Spider-Man while being told from someone else that's on the crime side of things. This feels like a beautiful, in the vein of The Kid Who Collects Spider-Man kind of story, or No One Can Stop the Juggernaut. A very contained but impactful for the humanity of Spider-Man tale. Really like this issue. And now we're in post-Krakoa. We've got Uncanny X-Men #1. This is my #2 book of the week. It's probably public domain, then Uncanny X-Men, then that Spider-Man book I was just talking about. So impressed at this issue 1. Love how this team came together. Love the dynamic between Wolverine, Rogue, and Gambit. That's where the team's at right now. I love Rogue leading these two and how and why that comes to be. I even love the fact they fight a frickin' dragon in this issue. It feels like it shouldn't work, but it really does. I love the villains introduced. I love the way the school is handled. The animation. The illustration is gorgeous. This whole book, top to bottom, is just X-Men. It's a world that hates and fears them. It's mutants being hunted again. I enjoyed Krakoa. But I miss the X-Men being part of the world and the effects of that and what that would be like that isn't the island. I get that the world was attacking them, but there was an isolation. I love that they're amongst people and navigating that again. Really love this issue 1. Very impressed. I'm so excited for X-Men to be back in this new era. An event I didn't know if I'd dig has made the list with its issue 1, Venom War. This is so impressive. This one issue catches you up on decades of symbiote lore while also moving the plot forward. It is, every page for the first half of this book is a nice summation of what's been going on with Venom, what's been going on with the symbiote, what's been going on with the other symbiotes. It is a fascinating encapsulation of so much, and it's where we're going with all the symbiotes. And the big moment that happens, and it's been in all the publications, and the issue that comes out this week would be a spoiler, but they've made it very clear. It's the first time the symbiote's been back on Peter Parker in a long time, and the way that's handled is fascinating. Love everything about this issue. So curious where things are going to go with Peter Parker having the symbiote even temporarily. Love the new relationship they have. Check out this issue. Fascinated by Venom War. Really solid kickoff to an event. And my final book from my top 9 from last week is another Boom Studios book. We've got Vicious Circle #3. This book doesn't come out very often because it is beautifully illustrated. The art in this book must take so many hours. It is stunning. It is painted in a lot of it. There's also different styles. There's more heavily inked styles. There's more heavily colored styles because it takes place through time. It's written by Mattson Tomlin, who is writing the Batman 2, who is responsible for Berserker, along with Keanu Reeves, Matt Kent, and this incredible team over there. But this is, and Ron Garney, one of my favorite artists, period. This book is so good, and I really like that it is playing with morality, playing with time travel lore, but also what is morality in an age of time travel lore, like when you can cause these changes. How does the butterfly effect work in this mythology? Really fun time travel tale, really beautiful illustration, really solid book all around. Vicious Circle #3. So those are all my favorite books from last week, the week of August 7th. If you've checked any of those out, let me know in the comments below what of these or any from last week are you digging. It was a smaller comic pull last week, but the stuff that came out of it was insane. So many exceptional books. Let me know what you're checking out. Now let's talk about the books that are coming out at your local comic shop the week of August 14th. Let's get into them. All right, new books this week, and by the way, it's always in the order of the number of books I'm picking up from each publisher. So, first up is Marvel Comics. That's the most books I'm checking out. This week, we've got The Amazing Spider-Man #55, Fantastic Four 23, cannot wait for that. You know how much I love that FF run. Helverine #4, Immortal Thor #14, Iron Fist #1, the 50th anniversary of Iron Fist. We've got Miles Morales Spider-Man #23, The Sensational She-Hulk #10, the final issue of that run, unfortunately. I've been loving it, but it has been canceled over at Marvel. We've got Spider-Boy #10, which I'm Reading reluctantly, it's fallen off for me, but I'm still hoping. Spider Society, number 1. Spidey and Amazing Friends, number 1. Star Wars Darth Vader, number 49. The Ultimates, number 3. Super excited for that book. Loving the Ultimates over there so far. Ultraman and the Avengers, number 1. Vengeance of the Moon Knight, number 8. Curious how that shakes out now that Moon Knight OG is back. Venom, number 36, with that awesome Punisher first appearance, Amazing Spider-Man 129 reference cover right there. This was why it's known, because Venom wore Spider-Man, and the cover is Peter Parker as Venom again. That is so exciting. That's why I didn't feel like it was a spoiler to tell you. What a moment in comics. Very excited to see how that shakes out. Werewolf by Night, Red Band, number 1. That is an R-rated comic book. It is dealing with the world of Werewolf by Night. If you've seen the Man-Thing Werewolf by Night awesomeness on the Marvel Special Edition, this book's going to be your jam. Wolverine Annual number 1. X-Factor number 1. X-Factor is back. This whole new era of mutants over at Marvel. And X-Men number 2, the second issue with that beautiful Ryan Stegman art. Over from DC, the second most books I'm picking up from the main publishers I read. Absolute Power Task Force number 7. Action Comics number 1068. Batman and Robin number 12, Batman Gotham by Gaslight, The Kryptonite Age number 3, really digging that run over there. New title here, DC vs. Vampires World War V. If you like vampires, you like DC, I got a book for you. This one I'm also excited about. From the DC Vault, Death in the Family, Robin Lives number 2. There was a 1/900 number back in the day while Jim Starlin was writing Batman with art by Mike Mignola, or at least covers by Mike Mignola, where basically Robin was killed via phone call. The iconic crowbar death by Joker was decided by the fans. This is the alternate take. What if Robin had lived? And it's from the DC Vault. I'm very, very intrigued by where this storyline goes. Gotham City Sirens number 2, Green Lantern number 14, Outsiders number 10, and Primer Clashing Colors number 2. That is going to do it from DC. Not anything I'm really excited for personally this week from Dark Horse, but Image, there's a ton of stuff. We got The Domain number 2, Falling in Love and the Path to Hell number 3, Geiger number 5, Napalm Lullaby number 6, Precious Metals number 3, Rifters number 3, and Transformers 11. A lot of great stuff from Image this week. And then for me, from Boom Studios, I'm personally really excited for Profane number 3, and nothing for me this week from Dynamite. So it is another smaller week. I feel like August has just been a little bit more contained so far, which means the third and fourth week could be huge, or could just be a smaller month in comics because how insane and giant July was. So that is going to do it for the books that I'm most excited to check out this week, the week of August 14th. What are you most anticipating? Let me know in the comments below. Also, I want to know what you guys enjoyed out of the D23 announcement. That is your homework. Let me know what of the entire thing, whether it was the Friday showcase with Marvel and Pixar and Disney Animation, Disney Live Action, or from that Marvel Animation panel, what was the biggest announcement for you out of D23? The Daredevil footage? Was it the announcement of Tron having Nine Inch Nails music? That was a big one for me. Was it Incredibles 3? What was the biggest announcement for you? I want to know in the comments below, and why. That is your homework. Let me know down there. Please, if you're new to this page, hit that subscription bell. Trying to grow this to 40K, and we're moving and grooving. I'm really happy. I do think 50K by my birthday is possible in September, but let's hit 40 first. Really excited about this. Loving that this page is growing. Really appreciate it, and it's thanks to you. So keep liking this video, keep commenting. As I've told you guys before, comic book based stuff doesn't do as well as movies ever, especially on YouTube. So you guys are the reason I can keep doing this, and it's worth all the editing and filming and reading. So leave a comment below, share this video to your comic friends, like this video. Let's get the algorithm loving comic book stuff. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate each and every one of you. We'll see you this week for more D23 coverage. Going to be talking about the live action announcements, like that new Monster Jam movie, as well as Tron Ares. Going to be talking about the animation announcements. Super excited for Toy Story 5. All of that is to come, as well as a review for Alien Romulus tomorrow at noon. That video has been filmed and ready, and I'm so excited the embargo is about to drop. That drops tomorrow at noon. So stay tuned for all of that, plus The Crow review next week, and lots more stuff in general. Much love. Subscribe, like, comment. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.